From the beginning, identical twins, William and Christopher Cormier, are double trouble.
They tested the waters and figured out exactly what they could get away with.
But as they grow older, William and Christopher's innocent antics devolve into a much darker game.
The twins kind of became obsessed with this fantasy role-playing game with heroes, villains, spells, weapons.
And the fantasy bleeds into real life. It threatens to tear the twins apart.
It was a very devastating betrayal. You never expect that your twin will be the person responsible for your downfall.
And sends them spiraling towards evil.
So it's incredibly vicious and violent. And the state of the mind of the person who's doing that is animalistic.
It was harder than anybody can imagine. It's my flesh and blood that did this.
Neighbors in the sleepy Atlanta suburb of Winder gather at the small house on 6th Avenue.
There was probably 150 people outside.
The house was under siege. Helicopters, news reporters, TV camera crews showed up. It became quite a circus.
Members of the Winder Police Department were on scene, as well as detectives from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
They called in a backhoe, and they gripped onto the edge of a freshly poured slab of concrete.
Whoa, 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 stop. I think I see something, hold it.
What they found was the plastic container stuck and attached to the concrete slab. They cut a hole in the bottom of the container, and then there was no doubt at that point what they were dealing with. It was a horrible, horrible smell.
Bill and Michelle Cormier are over the moon when Michelle gives birth to their precious twins, William and Christopher.
They were my joy in life. They were my hope and my pride.
But their elation quickly turns into worry. Both twins are diagnosed with pyloric stenosis, an intestinal abnormality that prevents food from being digested. The newborns are immediately rushed into surgery, and from this moment on, the twins' lifelong dynamic is set in motion.
William was born about 5 minutes before Christopher, and he was physically more dominant from the get-go. Christopher was born smaller, a little more feeble, and so he had to stay in the hospital a little bit longer than William did.
When their anxiety finally settles, Michelle and Bill feel fortunate to start a life with their new family. Once at home, the reality of raising twins becomes apparent. While Michelle is on full-time mom duty, Bill does the best he can to provide for his family.
Like every other person trying to support their family, I'm working my butt off. I'm working from 9 o'clock until 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Happened again.
But it's not enough. His efforts seem to fall short
I got fired.
and aren't paying off.
How? What happened?
My boss is an idiot.
Great. Well, what now? What's next?
What's next? We gotta move. That's what's next. So start packing.
Bill, in his own words, was kind of a jack of all trades, but it seemed that was just a phrase for someone who had a difficulty holding down a job.
We can't just move.
Yes, we
where
can
are we moving
move.
to?
Louisiana. That's where the next job
Why
is.
Louisiana? You can't find
Because that's
anything
where the next
here.
job is.
He always thought people were against him. If something went wrong, it was the environment's fault, and therefore he needed to change environments.
Bill's constant job search keeps the entire family on the move. And his past criminal convictions don't help the situation much.
I did a total of 12 years. I got out in 1978 and never saw that place again. It's hard for me to get a job because people look at my background and think that I'm not worth a crap.
Once you are in that system, there is a stigma that comes along with having any kind of criminal behavior. And so it can become very difficult for an employer to trust hiring an employee with such a record.
As the Cormiers' nomadic lifestyle drags on, tensions bubble under the surface. threatening to disrupt any chance of a normal life for the twins.
When Bill moved his family around the country, that is going to cause a certain amount of upheaval within the family, and certainly for the security and comfort within the minds of his children.
As youngsters, the twins cope with all the moving around by sticking together.
William and Christopher were inseparable. They existed pretty strongly in their own little isolated world.
They develop their own language. You don't have a clue what they're talking about. It's a secretive world that you or I are not invited into.
You have a constant playmate. You have a confidant. You have someone who understands you probably more than anyone else.
I hope you boys are getting your new clothes dirty. What does that mean?
Chris knows what it means.
Okay.
Twins go through potty training together. Twins learn how to spell words together. Twins go off to the first grade for the first time together. This is more than regular siblings, because regular siblings, even if they're close in age, they're not the exact same age.
And as Will and Chris grow older, the dynamic set forth from day one only grows stronger.
William is the dominant twin of the two. He kind of was always the strong one, the big one.
Chris was more subservient to what Will wanted to do, and Will was actively in charge. And Chris would do what Will wanted him to.
That's usually the case with twins. There's usually one that steps out in the front. It often is the quote-unquote older twin, even though we know they are born seconds or minutes apart.
A rambunctious duo, the 4-year-old Cormier boys revel in their twin identity.
They would play tricks on their mother, switching when she wasn't looking. They had a lot of fun with being twins. It seemed like from an early age that Bill never knew what quite to expect from his sons. He was always on his heels, kind of waiting to see what they were going to do next.
Hey, you want to see something
Then
cool?
one night, what starts off as innocent child's play results in a catastrophe.
The twins were in their bedroom playing with a lighter that they had found left around.
I want it.
They'd taken turns lighting it. And when it was Christopher's turn, he dropped the lighter on the bed. And it set the bedding on fire.
What did you do?
William ran into the room, and he says,
Chris set the bed on fire and
Christopher
I
set
did.
the bed on fire, but I didn't do it.
What do you say?
Chris set the bed on fire and I didn't do it.
And I thought, are you crazy? I put down my beer and I ran to his room. Well, there's Christopher just standing there looking. There's a fire this big around.
Chris,
Bill tried to put out the blaze, but it was too far gone.
your mom.
I brought in a water hose, but it was like pissing in a volcano. I almost got killed in there. It was dangerous.
To save his family, Bill acts quickly.
Remember, I had to grab them by their 90s and shirt and throw them out the front door.
A neighbor calls 911, but when the fire department shows up, it's too late.
That was everything. There was no saving anything. The only thing I saved were the children, and me. We had to figure out how we were gonna live.
That probably forever changed their trajectory, because financial ruin can kill relationships between children and their parents, and they absolutely can strain even sibling relationships.
The tragedy sets off a domino effect in their already turbulent lives.
My wife ran into a guy that really had a lot of money, and I had to really work hard for mine, and he didn't have to work at all.
Michelle filed for divorce and left the twins with their dad.
That was probably very difficult for them.
It seems like the Cormier twins' exclusive little world is collapsing all around them, and the worst is yet to come.
And they had no money,
You can never keep a job
so they got desperate.
You need to be an adult.
I don't know if there's anything to explain what led someone to do that to another human being.
Seven-year-old twin brothers Will and Chris Cormier are reeling from the destruction of their family home.
When the house burnt down, they lost everything they had.
Those were hard times.
And when their mother leaves, their world is turned upside down.
The twins felt that she abandoned them, so they definitely gravitated towards Bill and kind of harbored that resentment for Michelle for many years.
Divorce took a while and a lot of money, but I got sole custody of my children.
When a parent just disappears or walks away at a moment of crisis, many children can internalize that event as something that they have triggered.
Now a single father, Bill must learn how to support himself and the twins on his own. But he still only knows one way to live.
Bill has continued his nomadic tendencies, kind of moving the family all around from city to city, job to job, all over the Southeast.
Hopscotching from place to place leaves Will and Chris no time to lay down roots.
I believe they came to resent their father for constantly moving around.
Little do they know just how much this resentment will one day have dire consequences. When the twins turn 13, Bill lands a job selling cars in Pensacola, Florida.
We're here.
It's a move that finally allows the family to welcome a slower pace.
They were there for a little bit longer, and I think it made the twins hopeful that this might finally be the move where they could put down some roots, where they could meet some friends.
While their father's at work, the twins do what any normal teenagers in search of fun will do. They seek out excitement, and they find it in the form of a fantasy.
They had always kind of been into comic books, and the twins really discovered this fantasy card game that they became obsessed with. It's kind of a role-playing game where you accumulate a deck of cards of heroes, of villains, of spells and weapons. And it's this entire world that you kind of inhabit.
Armageddon!
The game seems to open up all kinds of possibilities, even in the form of friendship.
The twins found that they could connect with other children their age through the game.
They met Sean Dugas, who was another teenager who was obsessed with this fantasy card game, and they became fast friends.
The Cormier boys don't usually allow outsiders into their orbit. However, there was something about Sean.
He was a free spirit and a fun person.
Despite coming from this upper middle class background, Sean was very down to earth. And so it was kind of a nice fit with the twins because he could roll with the punches.
Meeting Sean was probably one of the best things to happen to the twins at the time.
As Will and Chris settle into their newfound stability, their father Bill throws another curveball.
Bill got another job and moved the family to Atlanta. The twins told me they were frustrated and kind of crestfallen that this had happened at that moment.
Heartbroken, the twins fear they may never lay down solid roots again. Year by year, city by city, their lives continue to unravel. Several years later, the Cormier twins have logged hundreds of miles on the road.
According to the twins, they had lived in 8 states and gone to 18 different schools.
This most recent move is the final straw. The twins are done playing nice.
All right, students, I hope you studied hard last night.
They started to act out quite a bit.
You have 50 minutes.
They would play pranks on other people, on teachers. They would swap IDs. They would even switch girlfriends.
They did everything the twins do because they could get away with it. And they tested the waters and figured out exactly what they could get away with. And that's exactly what they did.
Will's dominance begins to take a violent turn.
Believe me, Will was personable. He was nice. Don't put your hands on him. Don't make him angry, and for God's sakes, don't touch his brother.
William was pretty hot-headed. William was so dominant that he would even step in to fight Chris's battles and to defend Chris when he felt Chris had been slighted.
What'd I tell you about messing with my brother? Huh? Huh?
They also seem to inherit their father's feelings towards authority.
Based on my conversations with Bill, he believed that they kind of glamorized the stories that he had told them when they were younger about his criminal activities.
When there is a parent who kind of shuns authority, it can be talked about in a way that makes kids feel like we don't ever have to obey or listen to anyone.
Eventually, the twins decide school isn't the path for them. They drop out and get jobs.
They'd already become kind of self-sufficient, and so they, kind of carrying on in the footsteps of their father, they left school.
Even though they share some of Bill's qualities, the twins regularly lash out at their dad.
Hey, come on! I'm playing a game!
That's all you do is play games.
Enjoying my day off.
The one thing that Bill did expect, since they weren't in school, that they should contribute to the bills and the monthly expenses of the household. That they should be roommates as opposed to maybe children.
Out of school because you dropped out of school.
I did everything in the world I could to use myself as an example to them.
You can never keep a job, at least I have one.
But I didn't want them to have a free pass.
It's time for you to be an adult.
It kind of created this pattern of codependency on Bill, and Bill depended on them.
The twins seem eager to break away, and when they finally do, no one could predict just how evil they will become.
He was just out of control by that point.
Surely Bill never suspected that his son would be capable of something this atrocious.
High school dropouts Will and Chris Cormier struggle with their dad's nomadic ways, and they search for a way out.
It was a little bit of a push and pull in that they wanted to break away, but couldn't because the family was dependent on them and they were dependent on the family.
2 years after leaving school, they finally get their chance. And they put as much distance between themselves and their father as they can.
Oddly enough, it was Christopher that was the first one to break away when he took a job in Kansas.
Never one to be left behind, Will decides to join the Navy the following year.
It really kind of exposed him to a whole different world, some structure, some discipline. While he was away at the Navy, William met a girl named Maya. They fell in love and eventually they got married.
After 2 years apart, Chris's time living on his own is interrupted.
Really?
One day, Chris gets a knock on his door. It's Bill, who's moving Chris's grandmother in with him.
Hey, Dad, if you see my name tag, I'm gonna be late for work.
And with more mouths to feed, obviously Chris's financial obligations increased quite a bit.
Here he is trying to stand on his own, but then here comes the rest of my family to intercede in that effort.
At least help me find it.
I haven't seen your name tag.
And I don't have my protector that I've always had when I had to deal with the stresses of family.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Chris struggles to make ends meet.
It really seems that William is breaking free of the cycle while Chris finds himself stuck in it, still with his family dependent on him now, still kind of in this rootless existence.
As Chris sinks under the pressure in Kansas, William is riding high.
Eventually, William leaves the Navy, gets a good corporate job in Georgia, and it's about this time that he and Maya welcome a son into the world, into the family.
The twins' trajectories couldn't be further apart, and it seems like Chris's big brother has left him behind.
Jealousy is common between any siblings, certainly between twins, because they're often raised with the assumption you're the same person. So whatever happens to one is supposed to happen to both, negative and positive.
Then, out of the blue, William gets a call that sends shockwaves through the entire family.
Hey, Dad, what's up? No, I'm not
William learned that Chris had been arrested for drug possession charges with intent to distribute, and he was very angry.
You're not gonna bail
This
him out of
behavior
jail?
doesn't sit well with William. How could he have let this happen?
You had one job to do, Dad. One job. I can't always be there, Dad.
Yes, I'm a husband. Yes, I'm a father. Yes, I'm employed in a job. But my original job is protecting Chris.
What?
And look what happens when I step away from it.
I got blamed for when Christopher got busted. I got chewed out because he did it. So, but people make mistakes.
Since it's his first offense, Chris is given a slap on the wrist. But Will isn't going to allow this to happen again, not if he can help it.
He is on the phone checking in on his twin brother frequently. He is talking about what's happening with his twin brother frequently.
Though one person is not on board with Will's new mission, his wife, Maya.
Excuse me. Really?
Will, just a minute. I just need 1 minute.
No.
When a woman marries a man and has a child with him, she expects to be prioritized.
Will, I just need a minute.
Excuse me.
But he seems more concerned about what is happening with his twin brother than what is happening with his wife and new child.
Will, get off the phone.
Hey! I'm on the phone with my brother.
You are always on the phone with your brother. What about me? I need 5 minutes with you.
A year later, Maya expresses she won't be the third wheel in her own marriage. She divorces Will and takes their son with her. His situation is only about to get even more hopeless from here.
He got saddled with like $640 in child support.
At the same time, he loses his job, and so now he's stuck with child support obligations that he's no longer able to meet.
Now, if I said that knocked the wind out of him or hurt him, it really did. He got cold.
They say desperate times call for desperate measures. And Chris and Will are at the end of their ropes.
Chris moves back to Georgia with William, and they were pooling resources, and they both kind of worked a series of different service jobs.
Their lives were intertwined so intensely. It's almost like they couldn't operate independently. When they tried, things fell apart.
Over the next several years, the brothers try their hand at professional gambling to get by.
Even with the poker winnings, they still had financial problems. I don't believe that their winnings were enough to be, fully self-supporting.
William would make the money, and he'd loan Christopher money. Christopher would blow it. So, in my opinion, Christopher was losing what he was winning.
The twins try to make it on their own, but fail. Just how far will they go to keep their independent streak alive? At 31 years old, the twins play their final card and have no choice but to move in once again with Bill, who now lives with relatives in Winder, Georgia.
It was a pretty small house for all the people that were there, and they slept in a queen-size bed together, separated by a pregnancy pillow.
And I'm looking forward to that extra rent.
They don't have regular jobs. I don't believe either one of them had a car. I mean, they were still living with their father as, 30-year-old adults.
Really? Not even 5 minutes being home, you're already gonna start bringing up money.
This food isn't free.
It wasn't the most comfortable situation, and so there was a tension kind of created here.
Well, food isn't free tomorrow either.
You know what? Keep your food. Not even hungry.
The pair escape the crowded house by going on regular gambling trips.
So they would travel to some of the neighboring areas to play in these tournaments.
Will and Chris often sweep through casinos in their old stomping grounds of Pensacola, Florida. And in familiar territory, they find a familiar face.
They were able to reconnect with an old friend, Sean Degas, who was still the same old Sean, it seemed, open and welcoming and genuinely happy to reconnect with his friends.
Wow, yeah.
While the Cormiers have had a rough go at life, Sean has done well for himself.
I was really impressed with what you
He'd had a job at the local paper, which he loved.
Sean was living on his own. He had his own house. He had some notoriety within the public.
He's so successful that he retires at 30 years old.
He had recently left that job, but he was kind of just, content to walk the earth and kind of find himself.
So remember when we were kids, we were obsessed
The one thing that remained the same since the trio were teenagers,
still can't believe you play that game.
Sean's fascination with the fantasy card game that they played together.
You want to see my collection?
Sean had a very sizable collection. I would say that it did take up a significant portion of his life.
And while the cards were initially for fun, over the years they became more than just child's play.
The fantasy cards that they had bought for pennies in a package when they were teenagers had now gone up in value because they were rare and they were still being used to be played, but you couldn't find them anywhere, so they had really skyrocketed in value.
Sean's collection was valued anywhere from $40,000 all the way up to $120,000.
$10,000.
Even though Sean wasn't working a 9 to 5, the fantasy cards that he had kind of gave him a little bit of a safety net that he could buy and sell and trade them to pay the bills.
I'm sure that brought up feelings of jealousy, because here are two young men who have tried a little bit of everything to climb out of financial holes they kept finding themselves within. And then they come across an old friend who has just stayed committed to the thing that brought them together in the first place, and it's profitable.
In Sean, the twins spot a golden opportunity to turn their lives around for good.
It's almost like dangling diamonds, in the face of someone who's never had diamonds before. Here we are just playing with these, but it's like we're playing with money.
This sweet reunion will sour fast, and it will test the bonds of their brotherhood with deadly results.
Once you reach that point of desperation, it overrides common sense.
I have no idea what I could have done to have prevented this. I really don't.
While visiting their childhood buddy Sean, twins Will and Chris Cormier are suddenly optimistic about their future.
Here they have a glimpse of Sean. He has transformed this game of luck and fun into something that's profitable.
Right here, guys. 10,000.
I'm sure Will thought, I could do this better than Sean.
One card. Swear to God.
When Will and Christopher saw Sean's card collection, they knew instantly that it was worth a lot of money, and they saw an opportunity to make a lot of money.
As the twins head home, they vow to return. And just a few months later, Will and Chris's gambling tour of the Southeast brings them through Pensacola once again.
At the time, they didn't have any money. Dad rented the car for their trip down to Pensacola.
Sean had invited them to stay over at his house, and so they came over and kind of camped out for a few days.
I just can't believe you make a living off this.
At first, things are fine, even though the twins don't win at the poker table. But then, stresses from home start to seep into their good time.
While they're spending time at Sean's house, Will and Chris are driving a car that is rented for them by their father. Okay. And it is 3 days overdue. Every day they stay gone with that automobile, he has to pay for it. So he is telling them to come back, and come back now.
We were in a financial bind because they hadn't come up with any money. I messaged them. I said, you get back with that car. Get your asses home. That's all I'm asking.
They're out of money, and their dad is telling them they have to get back to land to return the rental car, or he's going to report stolen and have them arrested. And they don't have any resources. Here's a resource.
How much is that card worth again? 10,000?
Yeah. Pretty crazy, right?
Yep. Do you know what we could do with $10,000?
He probably thought to himself, you're not handling these rare cards in the way that's going to be most profitable.
I think that Will saw that they could benefit from selling Sean's collection. Sean became an opportunistic target for them in a moment of desperation.
But how can the twins separate Sean from his beloved cards? Will is determined to stay until he can come up with a plan. Days into their visit, Sean realizes there's something off about his old pals.
20 years later, I'm still kicking butt at that game, man.
And it turned into more of a squatting scenario where they were just using him.
Boom.
At least that's how Sean felt.
Sean was so uncomfortable with his house guests that while they were there at his house, he would go to stay with other friends.
So I'm gonna go
Stay at Joey's place for a little bit?
Because of his non-confrontational personality, he just chose to go stay with another friend as opposed to having a fight or an argument with William and Christopher.
You never know, man. We might want to live with you forever.
While Sean stays away, the twins bide their time, waiting for an opportunity to strike.
Sean made plans to meet with a friend of his for lunch, Kalia Jacobson. She was supposed to pick up Sean at 1:30 that afternoon.
And when Sean comes home to get ready, he makes it clear that the twins are overstaying their welcome.
Nice.
But Will won't leave without some incentive.
How about you give us one of those cards for gas money?
First, I'm going to ask and see if maybe we can just get what we need from you.
No, not happening. Tomorrow, you guys need to be gone.
And then we escalate to the next level.
Chris hears a scream, and he hears Sean screaming, "You cut my jugular."
Suddenly, Sean comes bolting from the bedroom.
Chris sees Sean running, holding his neck, with his brother walking behind him, holding a knife. He saw his brother pick up a hammer, follow Sean into the garage, which had a door that led into the backyard.
And before Sean can make it out of the house, Will takes a swing.
He was taken down by one blow.
Once he got started, it was hard to stop him.
It was at least 14 strikes. The injuries to the back of his head were catastrophic.
This is probably one of the more vicious and violent murders that I've actually seen. And I've seen a lot of homicides.
Chris comes into the garage and is shocked by the damage his brother has inflicted.
What did you do, man? What did you do?
William fulfilled his role as the dominant twin and took charge. It didn't appear that Chris put up any significant resistance. It seemed like he kind of also fell back into the pattern of following his big brother's lead.
This is his role. The brothers are facing a crisis. Will goes right into his position of protector. I will take care of this.
In a matter of minutes, the twins become ice-cold killers and begin to think like killers too.
We've got to get rid of this body. We've got to find something to put him in.
William went to a store in Pensacola and purchased a large blue container, took it back to Sean's house.
Together, Will and Chris fold Sean's body into the plastic bin and clean up the bloody mess. They leave the gruesome package in the garage, and on their way out the door, they grab Sean's card collection.
It was William's idea to go around to local comic book shops to sell the fantasy cards out of Sean's collection for gas money.
But before they can set their plan in motion, Will is stopped dead in his tracks.
He runs into Kalia Jacobson as she's arriving for her lunch date with Sean Dugas.
Hey, where's Sean?
Will stares the woman down, struggling to find an answer.
Is he here?
Running into someone was not part of their plan.
Is he here?
People are desperate when you've killed somebody.
I talked to him on the phone.
How far are the twins willing to go to keep this crime a secret? Twin brothers Will and Chris are covering up the murder of their childhood friend when they are faced with an unexpected hurdle.
Kalia was showing up for a lunch appointment that she had made with Sean.
Hey, where's Sean?
Little did she know that Sean was dead inside already.
I just talked to him a couple hours ago. Is he here?
Finally, Will tells Kalia that Sean is not home and won't be for several hours.
Sean's not here. He said he'll be back in a couple hours.
To Kalia, that sounded weird, that Sean would just ditch a lunch appointment without saying anything.
She left a note attached to Sean's front door with her phone number and requested that he give her a call when he got back.
Over the next few days, the twins are aggressive in making whatever money they can off the cards.
They sold cards in Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida. It was approximately $30,000 of Sean's collection.
A game that once brought them so much joy is now going to bankroll them out of this mess.
They rented 2 moving trucks.
And they completely emptied out his place.
But before anyone can ask questions, the Cormiers drive across state lines to their father's house in Winder, Georgia. When the brothers pull up, Bill is confused.
Hey, Dad.
He walked out to see this truck in his driveway, and he was like, you know, what the heck?
What is all this?
Why do you have a truck here?
They had someone's belongings, a bunch of comic books in the back of the truck. I had no idea where it came from.
The twins told him that they were helping a friend move.
He decided halfway on the trip he didn't want any of it and just said we can have it.
But that's not the only thing Bill notices.
What do you got in here?
They opened that door and I said, oh my
Holy!
God, what's in there? I yelled it. The stench was horrible. I had no intentions of getting in that damn truck. It stunk. And I wanted no part of it.
The twins told him that it was their friend's dog who had died en route.
The boys told him that they needed to bury the dog in the backyard.
Well, the neighbors are
Something
complaining.
seems fishy, but Bill accepts the explanation and goes back inside.
Just get it out of here.
We got it. Got it.
I thought about it, and it bothered me.
They buried Sean's body in their father's backyard the next day, poured concrete over it, and then covered it up with leaves.
Putting the corpse underground allows the smell of death to dissipate, and the twins bury their deep, dark secret with it. Back in Pensacola, Kalia is worried sick. It's been nearly 2 weeks since she last spoke with Sean.
Kalia returns to the home and notices that the house is empty. That sparks her to action.
Kalia reaches out to Sean's family, and they report him missing.
There was a report by neighbors that there had been a truck in the driveway. So that enabled the Pensacola Police Department to start delving into truck rentals during that time frame.
It seems the twins' plan wasn't exactly foolproof, and detectives are closing in.
I obtained Bill's phone number from the truck rental agreement. I called him up.
Hello?
I explained simply that I was trying to find Sean Dugas and that I believe that Sean had been at some point with Bill's children, Chris and Will. I was met with hostility right away. He was adamant that he hadn't seen his sons in 6 months, that they weren't living in Winder, and that Sean wasn't with them. So a couple things stuck out right away in that conversation.
Bill takes the detective's number down and hangs up, but he can't help but wonder about his son's strange story.
I thought about it, and I realized a whole bunch of things at one time.
Immediately, his mind went to the dog, that smell in the back of the truck. He feared the worst. As the connection started getting stronger in his mind, he felt the obligation to call the police back and tell them what he knew.
If you thought your sons committed murder and you didn't do what I did, then you're just as guilty as they are. It's the roughest decision I ever made in my life.
Bill invites police to come see what his sons have recently buried in the backyard.
When Winder PD arrives, the twins are not at the house.
And with the plastic bin, the smell of death is unearthed.
Imagine how that felt to stand outside. They're digging up your yard, and you're praying they don't pull out. This young man who you know to have befriended your sons. And then they do.
They cut into the bin itself and were able to see that there was a human body inside.
The brutality of the crime, no remorse whatsoever, none, zero, nothing. It's my flesh and blood that did this.
An APB is sent out to law enforcement to be on the lookout for the Cormier twins. That afternoon, they're arrested during a traffic stop.
They were charged with murder and concealing a death.
Days later, the body is identified as Sean Dugas.
Just loud banging, just yelling and screaming.
Chris spilled the beans and told them that he had remembered seeing William murder Sean Dugas.
Christopher Cormier pleads guilty to being an accessory to murder after the fact. He gets 15 years for his role in the crime. Will is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. All through the twins' lives, Will Cormier was the leader, but in the end, he drove himself and his brother down a path of darkness.
What I tell you about
At the end of the day, they always see each other as the most important. So prioritizing each other's financial peril, it just was more important than even this man's life.
I have no idea what I could have done to have prevented this. I guess you could say, well, you should have been a better father, you shouldn't have been in trouble. Well, I was. And I had children, and I raised them the best that I could.
Parents blame themselves when kids have fights at school. Parents blame themselves when their child is the bully on the playground. So imagine then how it feels to find out that your sons are murderers.
I miss my sons. They're not who I thought they were. So, don't know much more to say than that.